Well, it's been another incredible week in AI, and I have to tell you, I'm super excited about what we have on the show tonight. Here is what we're talking about. This is completely incredible, entirely unexpected. It is an all new image model from Google. Now, some of you may have seen the news. Some of you might be aware that there was this new model released on Ella Marina where people could evaluate the new model. And here's the thing, it does something that I certainly didn't expect. And it's something that a few years ago would have taken days, if not weeks, of work. No crew, no expensive software, just a couple of pictures and a few words. You see, this image was composed simply by dropping these three separate images into the model and asking it to compose the shot. We're talking about Gemini 2.5, the Flash image model released by Google, and it is absolutely incredible and exciting. I'm not a designer, and I'm really excited about what this model can do. But it's not just me. Some of the creative folks in the world have said, this is our GPT-4 moment in AI image generation. And what does that mean? Well, I don't think that actually goes far enough. I think we're actually talking about the ChatGPT moment of AI images because it's so incredibly easy to use. And tonight I'm going to give you a tour of what Google has unleashed. We're going to talk about what it can do and what it means for the future of image related software. It's probably going to have a major impact on Adobe Photoshop use. And as we wrap up the conversation tonight, we're going to talk about what this means for the future of not only image generation, creative endeavors, how it's going to affect us and how much we can trust the imagery that we see. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with an introduction to what's coming next. That's video generation and how this new model is going to totally change what we can do from a Hollywood capability standpoint. It actually is specifically addressing some of the major roadblocks for Hollywood. So stick around and we'll take that at the very end of the conversation. Hi, I'm Daniel Lemire, founder of AI Mistakes, and this is a picture of me from a few years ago. And I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with this image generation idea. So what I'm going to do is show you one of the cool things that this model is capable of. This is a straight up real image of me on the cruise ship. We went up to Orkney, and this is a picture of the Orkney coast from the ship. It's really interesting what is possible with these models. You know, as we're talking about it, just to give you an idea, we're talking about combining this concept of image generation and image editing. What does that mean? It means that we're taking details and we're combining them in entirely new ways with the feature set of image generation. And what's cool is that this model has complete contextual awareness. They've already integrated these features into the Gemini app, into AI Studio, and Vertex AI. And here is a great example. This is basically prompting the model to take everything and turn it into marble. Now, let me tell you what I'm impressed about with this image. It took and made me marble, but it identified me distinctly from the background and the background from everything else. You see the level of detail here? The wood on the cruise ship is still intact. It didn't get converted to marble. The bars on the ship are still there, but the background is converted to marble. It contextually understood the scene in multiple different layers and converted pieces of that. It's just a level of detail that's just absolutely phenomenal and incredibly exciting to me. And there's a lot of things that can be done with this. Just a few examples that I pulled off of some of my research was being able to enhance the imagery, simulate photography, change the time of day, continuously and iteratively change and edit an image. That means to say, you don't have to get the prompt right on the first shot. That's why I'm calling this ChatGPT for images, because not only does it do what you ask it to do, you can keep making changes and it keeps up with you and understands the context. There's all sorts of incredible ways that it can incorporate filters and bring forward details that matter. I've seen some great examples of other visuals, and we are just really getting started with this model. This is some really exciting capabilities that we're talking about. And I have to tell you, it's going to help me do a lot of image editing, because now I can very quickly edit and insert and generate. I mean, Google's data center is absolutely going to be on fire. This is going to be an incredibly popular model. People are going to be using this right and left. And when we talk about the implications that this new model brings, it was scoring very well on the LM arena before it even came out. Some of the generative AI folks were basically saying, you need to go check this out. And if you go choose to manipulate images, you're likely going to get this model and you're going to see it. And then just a few days after I saw some of those initial conversations, Google dropped this model. And what's interesting is that it is so consistent. I mean, the way that you could manipulate this thing and ask for it to incorporate objects, to change objects, insert things like you want to do product placement ads, this is absolutely brilliant for that. But what's great is it preserves the details. You know, in working with the GPT capabilities, oftentimes you'd give it an image and it would change things about it that you didn't want. This previous image that I showed you just a moment ago with me in front of the data center, if I gave that image to ChatGPT, it would change the way that I looked, and it wasn't me. That's why you've seen some of my thumbnails incorporate images of me that aren't quite right, because it simply didn't work. And we're entering an age where we can take bits and pieces, keep the things we want, and remove the things that we don't with natural language. I haven't touched Photoshop since I got my hands on this model a few days ago. And I think that this is one of the things that we're going to have to talk about, because it's also really freaking fast. I can't believe how quickly these images come back. I feel like I was waiting for an eternity with the open AI capabilities, and that's just not the case anymore. When we talk about what's possible, you know, speed, it really does matter. And what's impressive about the model is not just what it does, but how quickly it does it. But let me show you some of the details that people are sharing. And look, there's a lot of people that are professional artists. They do this kind of stuff all the time. But what's really amazing about this is that they are using it in really great ways. You can ask the model to generate the cells to create an entire universe. And what's amazing about this isn't just that you can generate them, it's that they're generated 100% consistently. And the way that you can reuse these images is what's really going to make the difference. People are trying out new things with the model, and they've been absolutely pleased. I am definitely one of them. I can't stop playing with it, to be quite honest with you. It is really impressive, and it's an exciting time to be talking about these capabilities. But it's not just the image capabilities. It really understands the world, right? You can combine multiple images, and I have a great example from social media that I can show you. But it gets it. Like, it understands the objects. It gets the world around you. And that's the combination of capabilities that Google has been able to bring together that is making the real difference here. By being able to improve the way that the images are presented and the items are brought together, it's like nothing else I've ever seen. And here is a great example from Mr. Davids1 on Twitter. He's been really pushing what this model can do, and he was able to incorporate 13 different objects. I don't even have them all on the screen here, but by giving each of these different objects to the model, not only did it put them together, but it did it in an intelligent way. This is a very consistent image. I'm just completely blown away by this. And I think we're just getting started with what the model can do. We're going to discover a lot of new and incredible things. This is an exciting time to be using the software. Now, I've talked about on the channel before that I absolutely love Midjourney for its beautiful art. But I have to tell you that one of the challenges is that it's very hard to edit and get consistent imagery out of it. We've already talked about what OpenAI can do. They're not great at precision. It takes a long time for the results to come back. There are some people that have done some absolutely beautiful things. I started out my foray into generative AI capabilities with Stable Diffusion right about the time crypto kind of went south. I had a couple of GPUs sitting around and a couple of computers, and I was able to grab Stable Diffusion because it was open source and run it on my own computer. And they've continued to make improvements, but it does take quite a bit of effort to set this up. But the speed of Gemini is just absolutely incredible. What's also interesting is they are embedding what is called Synth ID. It's an invisible watermark in the image that lets you identify it as a generated image. And I think Google is doing the right thing by incorporating this, but also I'm not sure it's going to be enough because people believe a lot of what they see, and it's going to take some time for that cultural understanding of the world to change. I mean, my estimation over time, and I've probably mentioned this on the program before, it takes 10 years for people to understand how things have changed. Some of us will get to it earlier, some of us will get to it later, but I applaud Google for putting this in there. Whether or not it's something that's really going to make a difference, we'll have to wait and see. But here's another exciting example of what's possible. This gentleman was able to take the model and ask it to take the car, change the color of the car, change the upholstery of the car, change the top cover of the car, place it in a slightly different angle, put it in front of a luxury mansion in Beverly Hills, and put a young lady with blonde hair and sunglasses in the driver's seat. And it took less than 20 seconds to generate this. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's mind-boggling. It really is. And it's so exciting to know what's possible here. There's some really interesting things that are going to be possible. And as we talk about the capabilities that are being brought to bear here, it's something that you and I can take advantage of right now. In fact, what's really incredible about this is that it's completely free for you to use with Vertex AI. If you haven't already signed up for AI Studio, you definitely need to do that because there are some major applications and opportunities here that we are going to have. And let's take a look at what some of those opportunities might be as I jump out of the PowerPoint here. Let's just jump back into what we can do. The announcement page that Google has provided here really shows some great details. For example, one of the things they showed us is how the model compares in terms of these different tasks. And if we just zoom in a little bit here, you can see that Gemini 2.5 Flash image generation is outperforming on a majority of the capabilities, whether that is compared to Qwen or Flux or ChatGPT 4o in its image generation. Flux is the model that has also been loaded into Grok for image generation. Now, they've also done some video generation model things that are subsequent. And I've tried that out and I've had a little bit of fun with that. But this has been way more exciting because oftentimes I have some ideas about what I want to do. And this gives me the level of control that I need without having to go to Photoshop. My wife is a graphic designer and has had the capability to do Photoshop things for a very long time. In fact, I remember when she and I were back in high school in the previous 1,000 years in the 1990s, it took quite a long time to modify an image to change it substantially. And it's doing it consistently and it's really undetectable. And I think that's one of the interesting things about the changes that are happening here. It is just so consistent. And it's even adjusting the lighting. If you ask it to do that, it will fix it so that it doesn't look quote unquote photoshopped. But the other cool thing that Google has done here is not only do we have an incredible model, they have given us some great examples of what you can do with the model. So here again, and if I can pull up the right page here, I actually loaded this image, and you saw my image early of me in a professional dress, and I gave that to this past forward image generation. And you see that it's taking my likeness, it's changing my dress, my appearance. It's changing the age of my face, because as it's doing this, it's actually generating it across the various eras. So it's doing more than simply manipulating the image. And this is an example of an application that can be built using the Google development tools. So they're even giving us some opportunities to continue to play with this. You can add sound effects to it. It's giving you prompts. So what's cool about this is with AI Studio, not only are they showing us what's possible to do with the model itself, but they're inspiring us with opportunities to add capabilities to software and see the coding changes that are being made. Now, I don't know if you've discovered vibe coding or not. There's a lot of folks that are having a great time developing applications with absolutely no developer experience. And this is yet another area of opportunity. So if you're excited about what you're seeing with the image manipulation, and you're thinking, gee, boy, it sure would be cool to be able to upload a photo of me and, you know, generate a simile of what that person might look like through the generations. You've already got an example on how to prompt the model to do that in this application, but they're giving you code. Now you can get in here and start playing with the code. Now, maybe you need to vibe code it, and that's fine. This model is going to be available for you to program against. Very easy. In fact, that is part of the motivation here. And some of the details that they're sharing with us on their launch page are showing us some of the opportunities for doing exactly that. This is another great example. They have an example of a prompt-based image editing environment where you can sort of make your own editing environment. And I got in here and I started playing with it. Again, I uploaded that same image from Orkney, and I said, replace the background with the earth as if I were standing on the observation deck of a spaceship. Is that a realistic photo? I don't know, but boy, I sure am having fun with this. And you can build an entire application. It gives you everything you need to understand what's happening on the background, and it's easy to get started if that's something that you are interested in. But the third demo that they brought to us is an example of the native world knowledge. And this was very interesting from an education application standpoint, because you can do more than simply play with images. You can actually do sketches, and it understands the world. You can do geometry. You can explore educational concepts and combine some very simple drawings with some prompts to drive what happens. And I was playing with this earlier, and I don't know if any of you have seen physics, but there are some examples of this curved acceleration of a ball. If you drop a ball along this curve, the ball is going to be moving a lot faster than if you had just gone down a straight incline. And all I did was draw this horizontal line, this slightly curved line, and this straight diagonal line. And I said, compare the speed of a ball rolling down these two slopes. It added some additional annotations to the image, and it explained with the text that it was in fact faster for the ball that was dropping down that curve. And that is factually accurate. That is a comprehensive physics understanding of what the ball is going to do. Now, I'm sure it does a lot more, but man, what a simple, elegant way to illustrate this. And this is using the model. And all they did here is build a TypeScript application that allows you to interact with a page by drawing on it and then sending that to the model and having it return. We can do all sorts of interesting things here. I think this is really exciting in ways that I did not expect. But we're not done with their examples. Here they have this sequence for us that they've thrown together, and they've accelerated a little bit. But just to give you an idea, right, they take this hotel photograph, and you're actually able to pinpoint and say, I want to put this object in there, and puts it in there. It adds the lighting. It really does look like it belongs there. It understands elements about that image. This is incredible. And there's other examples that Google found. Here, I took this prompt from the marble generation, but others have been playing with this, changing out the materials, having it reflect differently based on the lighting, taking a sketch and turning it into a rendered 3D. And this one I think is even funnier because this guy took an image and said, change the camera and move it. And it did. Like, that's really cool. It really understands what's going on in the world. And there are some bigger opportunities for making minor modifications, right? In this one, this gentleman was taking pictures of the Apollo banners in one of the NASA locations and was able to swap out what was on the banner. He took a picture in front of the engines and turned it into him in a spacesuit. Man, that's really cool. And you can really tell some great stories with this. And I think that's really part of the fun here, right? You can tell stories in totally new ways with this capability. And it really is different and exciting. And I think there's a lot more for us to explore. There is so much on social media. So if you are interested in this, go look up Nano Banana on some of the social media sites and get excited about what's out there, because this has implications to our future. There are some major opportunities here. It means you can focus on the story instead of having to fine-tune all of the technical details around doing it. And as they continue to evolve this, the resolution is going to get better. The images are going to get better. You're going to get improved text rendering. And we've already seen there's a really great influencer that I follow on X that has done a lot for the community, showcasing examples. And she works for Adobe now, and she's already shared examples of how Adobe has integrated the new model into their capability. So Adobe's going to be impacted, right? I mean, you're probably going to see some people that don't need Photoshop anymore. Is that going to be an earthquake for them? No, because Adobe is moving up the stack as well. They get it. They know the workflows that these artists are trying to carry through, and they're making it possible to do newer and better things. You and I are going to be using the model, but if you want to do something more advanced, there's going to be opportunities for improvement so that you can move faster and work in higher fidelity. Ultimately, everyone is going to be able to level up their storytelling. I've already got some ideas for things that I might do for the channel. You know, just starting with a fun image of me in some weird place around the world could be a little bit entertaining. So, with that said, look, the thing I want to impress upon you is I have been working on a video that's going to come out in the very near future where we did a deep dive on VO3. And what I need you to understand is that getting into using these capabilities, generating video and images, is fraught with all sorts of challenges and problems. And so I thought, you know what? I don't know what this process looks like. I don't know what has to be done, but let me talk to somebody that knows. So coming up on the channel, we're going to have an interview with a Hollywood editor who does this every day for a living and understands exactly what the challenges are in the Hollywood world for doing video generation. And I have to tell you in closing, as we wrap up the story tonight, that the issues that were brought up in that interview are things that this new model is specifically going to be able to address. And when you combine the ability to generate imagery that is consistent with the ability to generate full-length videos, adding sound, now we're talking about incredible new capabilities. We're going to see, I think, a real major change in the marketing space. You're going to see an increase in generated imagery. You're not going to be setting up photo shoots as often anymore. Yes, it's still going to be a thing, but I think it's going to drastically impact what it's going to cost to generate great ads. We all know what social media has already changed in terms of driving those short videos that we all watch to some degree. I enjoy them from time to time as well. And being able to level up what you can show to people, I think is going to be a major game changer. So if you haven't already got your hands dirty, let's do it together. Let's dive into Gemini and just try it out. All you have to do is prompt it. And when you get into Gemini, I have an ultra subscription still today. I go in here and choose create images. But as I mentioned before, you can go into Google AI Studio. And once you're in Google AI Studio by going to aistudio.google.com, you have all sorts of choices for getting started with these capabilities. So don't wait. Pick it up and get started. There's a lot of opportunity for what you can do in this environment. And it even lets you start building with a dynamic environment. Or if you're like me, you probably have some chats that are already out there, and you can just jump into the chat and try Nano Banana. And it even gives you a way to get started. Generate an image of a banana wearing a costume. Okay, now I click the button and I wait, right? But that's incredibly fast. Did you see how fast that was? I guess you didn't, because I didn't share the screen. Let me fix that for you. Live video, what are you going to do? I'll fix it in post. But look, it only took 5.7 seconds to generate that image. Absolutely amazing. So log into aistudio.google.com and get started. It's not too late for you to make those AI mistakes by playing with the technology. Go kick the tires on it. There's nothing I'm going to do here that you can't explore for yourself. Think of an idea, type it in. Did you see something interesting today? I'll tell you, I saw something interesting. A new puppy playing in a puddle near the park. Now, you enter this in there, and here's what's great, because you can keep going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it generate the image, and then we're going to go find something to add to the image. It's that simple. Like, all we have to do is upload a file, give it something else to put in the image, and it's going to be able to do it. So we'll take this yard. I'm going to put this farm scene as an upload. Okay. Let's put the puppy in this scene in the foreground. And it's going to take what it's already generated and pull that across. So it's going to combine them. And the level of control that this gives us is super exciting. Look at that. It did it. It's absolutely amazing. Now, that looks like a photoshopped image, but I didn't have to do anything with the software, right? I didn't have to extract any of these details. It did it for me. And I can say, hey, make the puppy smaller and fix the lighting. And I bet you it's going to be able to do it. And it's so fast. I could never do this live with ChatGPT. It would take far too long. The image generation takes an eternity over there. So if you have an idea, you can just get started. And if you combine this with other tools like Midjourney, where you can vibe generate images, like just talk to it about what you want to see and it will rapid fire generate them. Now you've got some real power at your disposal. So don't wait. Go get started. Go hit up aistudio.google.com or head over to gemini.google.com, log in and get started, and go make some AI mistakes. We'll see you next time.